Action and adventure, the network TV premiere. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Red Heat, in 25 minutes. The King's Fusiliers are back on parade.
Great being back with your mates, isn't it?
Paddy Garvey's the name, defender of the realm. The thinking woman's Bruce Willis.
You ready, Lieutenant?
Sir.
Oh, yes. Soldier, Soldier, Monday at 9 on Central.
Hot stuff, tension, anxious moments, big names. Central puts you in the picture with The Loners.
Burt Reynolds stars in The Loners feature Monday on Central as Private Eye McCoy, thriller action in Seamus at 10:40.
You know, this big old world is one giant riddle.
One huge cosmic conundrum.
One endless question.
Like, why do men have nipples?
How come you never get the big bit?
Yeah!
But above all, how can DHL get a parcel from Wandsworth to Wiesbaden with less hassle than it takes to get to work in the morning?
DHL. You know it's arrived the moment it's sent.
Oh, I wouldn't like to pass one of those guys in an alleyway.
Wouldn't be able to pass one of those guys in an alleyway.
Yeah, it's not a matter of bulk. It's a matter of lightning reflexes and technique. I tell you, if I just had my jockstrap on, I'd demonstrate how fast a human body can move.
If you just had your jockstrap on, we'd all demonstrate how fast a human body can move.
Another grosh?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll have another grosh.
Here, top that.
Oh, that's disgusting. Could put you right off your grosh. Nah. I hate it when people let you down like that. Yeah. By the way, did I tell you I can't be your best man Saturday?
With each new day, you find a way to be your best.
Gillette sensor for a safe and closer shave.
You know you gotta be a little better than the rest.
Only Gillette sensor has spring-mounted twin blades that sense and adjust to every detail of every face. Gillette sensor together with Gillette gel for a shave that is unsurpassed.
Gillette, the best of men, yeah.
Great news! The Ribena berries have taken your favorite blackcurrant Ribena and added more vitamins. And as a special offer, they're now giving you 15% extra, free. So that's more vitamins per glass and more glasses per bottle. That's why Ribena is now even better value for money. No wonder they're queuing to get in. Delicious Ribena, now even better value than ever.
Join World Books and get 4 bestsellers of your choice from just 50p each. Take a whole year to choose just 4 more. Then, stop. If you want to. All famous names, all massive savings, and all you have to do to join Britain's biggest book club is cut out the coupon in the national press. World Books.
Hey, what are you going to eat around here?
For breakfast, there's usually muesli.
And what's the muesli we eat usually?
It's this one, folks, Alpen. A-L-P-E-N. It's the appetite appeal. For lots of crispy wheat flakes and some blessed raisins. It's for the pleasure of taste and texture. For every oat flake. And in for them, they're hazelnuts. A-L-P-E-N.
Why, thank you, ma'am.
Maybe if people had a better start, they wouldn't turn out so bad.
On a time, this girl worked for this woman until she met this man.
You're the first woman I've seen in one of these damn things that dresses like a woman, not like a woman thinks a man would dress if he was a woman.
Thank you, I guess. What did happen exactly?
The earth moved. The angels wept.
This woman is my secretary.
You're not her secretary? Nah.
Oh, yes, she is. She's just a working girl. Central's movie premiere at 7:45 on Sunday.
Well, because the World Championship boxing ran over time, all our programmes for the rest of the evening on Central will be approximately 25 minutes late. That's the news.
Good evening. This is the ITN News and Sport. The main story is Lady Thatcher says Major did a U-turn on ERM. Why not Maastricht too? The consultants found guilty of attempting to murder a terminally ill patient. And the Duchess in tears on her first engagement since those photos.
And in today's sport, Dean Saunders scores twice for Aston Villa to sink his old club, Liverpool.
The former Prime Minister, Lady Thatcher, has called on the government to follow its U-turn on the exchange rate mechanism with another U-turn on Maastricht. She was speaking in Washington as Norman Lamont and finance ministers from the world's other richest nations met in a different part of the city.
Lady Thatcher's attack on the exchange rate mechanism could scarcely have been sharper. The unnerving events of this week, she said, hadn't been a nightmare. This was a liberation from the torture of a straitjacket.
It may be embarrassing to go back on a pledge to defend a particular exchange rate, come hell or high water. But if the pledge was misguided in the first place, the act of breaking it should provoke a round of applause, not condemnation.
Britain, she said, had now resumed control of its economic destiny. The European gravy train, she added, can be stopped.
It's high time to make as complete a reversal of policy on Maastricht as has been done on the ERM.
A rallying cry for her supporters, but a bandage here too for Norman Lamont, under fire for blaming this week's collapse on the Germans. Lady Thatcher offered advice to Chancellor Helmut Kohl.
I don't think one should be oversensitive about these matters. I really don't.
How sensitive Conservative Party leaders will be to her blistering remarks is another matter. Bill Neely, ITN, Washington.
The Germans clearly are sensitive. As Lady Thatcher was speaking, they held their own briefing in another Washington hotel, all in German, British journalists not invited.
We
won't cut interest rates, we reject British attacks, said Finance Minister Weigel. The ERM will not collapse, said Bundesbank President Schlesinger. Chancellor, what will you be telling the Germans tonight? Despite the sarcastic smile, Mr. Lamont ducked the opportunity to answer back.
Very important meeting, very much looking forward to it. A lot to discuss about the world economy, and certainly necessary that we see very good and effective cooperation within the G7, and that goes for Europe too.
He was probably more outspoken once inside today's meeting of the group of 7 finance ministers, though the German delegation in one corner was placed well away from the Chancellor in the other. British officials are trying to play down talk of a row. We're told that the Governor of the Bank of England and the President of the Bundesbank had a friendly chat in the garden here before lunch. But it's hard to imagine this meeting doing anything more than papering over the cracks in relations between Britain and Germany. QPIM ITN, Washington.
2 new opinion polls suggest the French will say yes to Maastricht in tomorrow's referendum. A Mori poll in the Sunday Times indicates an 8-point majority in favour, and an ICM poll in the Sunday Express shows an even bigger margin of 10%.
Just hours before the polls open, and the No campaigner Charles Pasqua was still on the hustings in Paris, hoping to persuade undecided voters to reject Maastricht. Not everyone here takes the campaign so seriously. A nightly puppet show ridicules him as a latter-day Napoleon, and President Mitterrand as a manic hospital patient. On the eve of the poll, a quarter of the electorate are still making up their minds about which way to vote. The uncertainty reflected in today's newspapers. In one, the former British Prime Minister, Lady Thatcher, urges them to say no. But in Paris today, the mood seemed to be edging towards a yes. A no vote would be a shattering blow to President Mitterrand and all those who share his vision of France's future. But it's doubtful now whether even a narrow yes vote can do much to end the present crisis over European integration. Libby Wiener, ITN, Paris.
The Duchess of York broke down and wept today as she attended her first public engagement since newspapers published intimate holiday photographs of her with the American businessman John Bryan. She was speaking in Birmingham.
The Duchess has made it clear throughout the past months that she will continue to work for the Motor Neurone Disease Association, and the charity says it will stand by her in her time of adversity. Motor neurone disease is a fatal muscle-wasting affliction which slowly paralyses the body but leaves the mind unaffected and fully aware of the degeneration. The Duchess lost a close friend to the disease 4 years ago, and since then she has befriended countless sufferers and their carers, mainly on private visits. She confessed that she finds inspiration in the determination and dedication of those around her today.
I have got to get myself together and go on and on and on until eventually, once and for all, we find a cure for motor neurone disease.
She was choking back tears as she finished her speech.
It was 2 years ago I made a promise that I would be your voice. And here I am today, your voice. I will continue to honour that promise for as long as you wished me to. Thank you.
And as the charity confirmed its wholehearted appreciation of her work, she couldn't hold back the tears.
Continue her work for MNDA. Today's meeting, today's visit.
She told the audience she felt she was among friends. Anne Lucas, ITN, Birmingham.
A hospital consultant has been found guilty of attempting to murder a terminally ill patient with a lethal injection. Members of the jury wept today as they returned their majority verdict on Dr. Nigel Cox.
8 days after the start of this highly unusual trial, consultant Nigel Cox left court clearly shocked by today's verdict.
I would be grateful if you would respect my privacy and leave me alone. Thank you very much.
The jury had deliberated for over 8 hours. As their foreman announced the verdict with a majority of 11 to 1, Dr. Cox's relatives in the public gallery gasped, and at least 3 jury members wept openly. Granting unconditional bail, the judge, Mr. Justice Ognall, said that in view of the exceptional circumstances, he would not be imposing an immediate custodial sentence. The case had centred on events surrounding the death of pensioner Lillian Boys at the Royal Hampshire County Hospital. Dr. Cox had been caring for her since 1978. His defence claimed a final injection of the drug, potassium chloride, had been intended to ease her suffering. The jury decided its primary purpose was to kill her.
It was clear all along that Dr. Cox believed he was acting for the best motives, and he now finds himself in an extremely tragic position.
Pro-euthanasia groups deny the case as a setback to their cause.
I think that this will be regarded in the years to come as a watershed case. The Cox case, the Nigel Cox case, I think will be quoted in years to come, because there really must be now a change in the law.
Dr. Cox will reappear for sentencing on Monday morning. Robert Hall, ITN, at Winchester Crown Court.
In court, they called it the razor's edge, the delicate line a doctor treads between helping a suffering patient die in peace and falling foul of the law.
Most doctors would use large doses of pain-relieving drugs to look after a patient, even if that meant that they developed pneumonia or something like that, that shortened life.
Now the medical profession want the law changed to reflect advances in medical treatment and a patient's expectations of a painless and dignified death.
The law as it now stands is really not adequate for looking at the situations that face doctors who are looking after people who are dying. The law actually is not helpful in this situation and needs clarification.
Contracts signed in advance by a dying patient agreeing his final treatment will help, but doctors say new laws are needed. The doctor's dilemma is not new.
25. The King's life is moving peacefully towards its close.
King George V's death was helped by his doctor, who reportedly gave a euthanasia injection of morphine and cocaine. Now the government are studying where the Dr. Cox case leaves the issue. But tonight officials said it was too early to consider changing the law.
Detectives investigating the murder of Rachel Nickel on London's Wimbledon Common in July have been given a court extension to continue holding a man until Monday. Police haven't said if his arrest directly followed the release of a video-fit picture of a man they believe responsible. The United Nations has recommended that aid flights to the Bosnian capital Sarajevo should start again, 2 weeks after an Italian plane was shot down. And the Security Council has voted to exclude what remains of Yugoslavia from the UN. Now today's sport with Graham Miller.
Dean Saunders scored twice on his home debut as his new club Aston Villa thumped his old club Liverpool at Villa Park. Saunders, sold just 10 days ago for £2.3 million, said he'd had every incentive to do well. It's Liverpool's worst start for 38 years. Rob Newman's goal for Norwich was enough to secure their 5th win in a row and top spot in the Premier League. Vinnie Jones was sent off as he made his home return for Wimbledon, his 5th dismissal in a Don shirt. But Blackburn finished with 9 men, as Tony Dobson and Mike Newell were also dismissed in the 1-1 draw at Selhurst Park. So Norwich have now opened up a 4-point lead in the Premier League over Blackburn and Coventry, who play on Monday. In the First Division, it's now 7 wins out of 7 for Newcastle, and at this rate they could have the championship sewn up by Christmas. Before another capacity crowd at St James's Park, Bristol City were the victims of a 5-0 thrashing.
Newcastle's astonishing start to the season ensured a full house at St James's Park. The gates locked half an hour before kick-off. But the Tynesiders had to wait until nearly half-time for their first goal. A glorious 30-yard free kick from Liam O'Brien sent the crowd wild and set Newcastle on their way. On the stroke of half-time, David Kelly was pulled down in the box and Gavin Peacock stepped up to give the Magpies a 2-0 lead. After the break, the rout continued. Franz Carr hit a third with a finely judged chip. A few minutes later, a struggling City defence gave away another penalty, and Peacock again stepped up to convert it. But Newcastle weren't content to sit back. The barrage on the City goal continued. Kevin Brock rounded off the scoring to make it 5-0 and 7 wins out of 7. After the match, manager Kevin Keegan praised his team and said he could see no end to their winning run.
Rangers beat Hearts to stay top of the Scottish Premier Division tonight. Ally McCoist maintained his prolific scoring record in a 2-0 victory. 2 goals from Celtic's Gerry Craney helped them fight back from 4-2 down to win 5-4 at Falkirk. So Celtic move into 2nd place ahead of Hearts. Dundee United lost to rivals Dundee 1-0. Rangers, of course, top. Steve Cawthon guided the favourite Mashala to victory in a thrilling finish to the Irish St Ledger at the Carra. It was Cawthon's first success in the Irish Classic.
Towards the final furlong, it's Mashala, Steve Cawthon, Snurd, Richard Quinn, the near side, Drum Taps in 3rd. Racing into the closing stages, Mashala from Sturge on the near side. Mashala the rails, Sturge in 2nd, Mashala's holding Sturge, Mashala's Irish Ledger.
The full SP then, Mashala 11-4 favourite, Snurge 5-1 and Drum Taps 5-2. England's Grand Slam fullback Jonathan Webb led a successful start to Bath's defence of the English Rugby Union Carriage League. Webb scored 5 penalties and a conversion from 6 kicks at goal. The only try of the game was created by Stuart Barnes, his run allowing Jeremy Gaskett to score. And just a reminder that Chris Eubank successfully defended his WBO super middleweight crown against American Tony Thornton. Eubank won the bout on a unanimous points decision, but his thoughts tonight were with Michael Watson, who he beat in a tragic fight exactly a year ago.
This is street talk, so this isn't for the man who wears the top hat and the suit. This is street talk. Michael, you are the original bad boy, and I pay all my respects to the heist.
And finally, if you're heading off to a nightclub tonight, be prepared for a friendly greeting from a new breed of helpful, charming bouncers. Police in Newcastle upon Tyne have started special training courses, turning heavies into door supervisors.
It's one of the liveliest city centres in the country. In just 1 square mile of Newcastle, there are nearly 300 pubs, clubs and restaurants. And where there's nightlife, there are bouncers. But that's no longer what they call them in Newcastle. Here they're known as door supervisors, and that's official. Newcastle Police decided to put the bouncers through charm school.
Headbutts is not part of this curriculum. We don't tolerate gratuitous violence, and they're trained properly.
This course is trying to put a better face on the doorman in Newcastle, and that's what we really want.
Well, it is difficult, but you've just got to learn to do it. It's better to talk your way out of trouble than to actually fight and things like that.
Now any pub or club employing bouncers will have to make sure they've been on the course as a condition of their licence.
It's still too early to see any noticeable effect in crime figures, but police say they have already detected among the drinking public a new respect for the bouncer, and that crimes involving violence and drugs may be on the decrease in city centre pubs and clubs.
And that's the news and sport this evening from Graham and me. Good night.
Good night.
Hello there. Well, we've got a weak weather front working its way in across the western parts of the country tonight. So tomorrow morning, there it is, affecting that more western side of the country. Then I think as we go towards tea time, we're going to find it just nudging across to just be affecting the southeast by the latter part of the day. But then also we've got another weather system coming in across Ireland later on during the evening. So back to tonight. Well, there you are, murky, misty night across many parts of the country. A lot of cloud around. Drizzly bits of rain up the eastern side. In the west side, that more persistent, but patchy light rain coming in probably after midnight to many areas. So if you're out on the road tonight, do take care. Tomorrow morning, well, it's a gloomy start, particularly across many central and eastern parts of England and up into eastern Scotland. Slightly brighter skies over the west of Scotland and over Northern Ireland, and those clearer, brighter skies just slowly edging their way across the Irish Sea into the west during the afternoon, with some clouds breaking into central parts as well. Probably East Anglia and some of the eastern areas there may well stay fairly dull till the end of the day. And we are going to find one or two showers coming into north and west, but most areas probably ending the day basically dry. Temperature-wise, well, a fairly muggy day again. 18, that's 64, that's the best there down in the south and east. Some very light winds, so things changing fairly slowly. That's it from me. Do have a very good night.
Central weather in a little bit more detail. Tonight, cloud and mostly patchy rain will trudge southeastwards into the region. Some fog patches also showing up in the east due to the broken cloud there. Temperatures down to 11 Celsius. The patchy rain will continue its course southeastwards tomorrow morning, most places becoming dry with sunny spells peeping through by the afternoon, and I'll be back again tomorrow.